In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, I talk with Rapman, the genius behind Netflix's #1 show, Supacell, and Amanda Baez joins me again as we talk this crazy documentary that we watched called Tickled. Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Hello, welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and I thank you so much for once again joining me for another episode of Pop Culture Weekly. On the rotating panel of guest hosts, it didn't rotate very far this week because Amanda Baez is back.
Woohoo! Hi, Kyle.
Hey. So, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How was your first episode?
It was good.
Yeah?
It was great.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Good. I loved having you, and you're going to come on a lot more often. So,
that's great.
In fact, here we are a week later.
Right now.
Let's get in. There's so much good stuff that we got to get into. Let's get into it right now. We're going to start off with what's out this week. So, what's out this week? I'm an idiot. And last week we talked all about Twisters.
We did.
And it did not come out last week. It comes out this week.
Well, we're ahead of the game. So think about it that way. We were being proactive.
Exactly. That is very true. It's horrible that, I have this pop culture show and don't know when things come out. So, but Twisters is out this week.
Is it really?
Which... Are you going to see it this weekend or no? You're going to see Longlegs, right?
I do want to see Longlegs this weekend, but I think that I can do a double trip to the movies.
Okay.
For Twisters, because I feel like Twisters is nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
So I want to see what is new.
Yeah.
In this time.
And better effects and
yeah.
It's going to be awesome. So, yes, I'm probably going to be seeing that this weekend as well. And Twisters, the soundtrack is out too.
It is.
It is.
I listened to Luke Combs.
His single?
Yeah. Ain't No Love in Oklahoma.
Yes.
I listened to that on the way here. Banger.
It really is. You and I were talking about this before the show. We've never been giant country fans.
Never.
But it's starting to rub off on me.
I don't know what's going on. I feel like ever since I started working here and listening to it kind of on repeat, it's just doing something to me.
Yeah.
It didn't do before. And I'm saying to myself, this actually isn't that bad. Why was I such a hater?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, there's some awesome. So I love Billy Zimmerman. Mm-hmm. I love Billy Zimmerman.
Yeah.
His voice is so good. His music's great. He's on there with Hell or High Water. Kane Brown, who I love. Tyler Childers has this song called Song While You're Away on the soundtrack.
Yep.
That's so good. Benson Boone, I love him. He's not even country, but I'm glad that he's on there. Then there's this song called Boots Don't with Shania Twain and Breland. It is so good. It reminds me of a Shania Twain song.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. And who doesn't love Shania Twain? She's looking at me like me. I
don't know who that is.
What?
I'm sorry.
I forgot you're like 7.
You exaggerate. I'm 6. No, I'm
Shania is hold on.
I don't know these people. I'm sorry.
Let's go, girls. I'm going out tonight. I'm feeling all right. Okay. You're still the one I run to, the one that I belong. You don't know that song?
No.
That don't impress me much. Oh, so you got the brains, but have you got the touch? Man, I feel like a woman.
It feels familiar.
Oh, my God. Okay. Well, her songs were out in like 2000. You weren't even born.
I was born. I was born in the year 2000.
Oh. I cannot believe you've never... This is a national crime, even though she's Canadian. You have to know the song.
Oh, I know that song.
Yeah.
I know that song.
That's Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Yeah, I've heard that song before. It was like in a lot of 2000s movies back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so Shania, it sounds like a Shania. God, my ADD. The song on the soundtrack of Twisters, called Boots Don't, sounds like a Shania Twain song.
Okay.
Which I guess makes sense because it's a Shania Twain
She's
song.
on it.
That was dumb. But anyway. So that's what's out this week. Not a lot. Oh, there's a movie called Oddity too that's out this week. Which, did you see the trailer for that?
No.
Of course not.
You know what? I'm about to leave. I feel attacked all the time.
It is like something with the occult and a psychic and a murder and all that kind of thing. So it's like right up my alley. So I want to see that too. That's it for what's out this week.
That's it?
Yeah.
Nothing else?
There's some stuff on streaming. Simone Biles.
Oh, I know her.
Yeah.
I do know her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she, there's a documentary about her called Simone Biles Rising on Netflix. Oh, Lady in the Lake season 1, which looks really good. That's on Apple TV Plus. Cobra Kai season 6 on Netflix, which
I do know Cobra Kai.
Okay.
I do know that one.
And you've seen...
I've never seen it, but I know it. So give me some points.
I will.
Okay.
Have you seen the Karate Kid movies? Which is what it's based... Which it's like a sequel.
No.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I do. I have seen those movies.
Okay, good. Yeah, Cobra Kai season 6 drops. But anyway, so that's what's out this week. Kind of short.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, next up is what we consumed this week, which most of what I'm going to say is going to be saved for the feature presentation, because the thing that has rocked my world that I consumed this week is the documentary Tickled. And then, which I immediately texted you and was like, I need to talk about this. We need to do a whole episode on it. Mm-hmm. You need to watch this. And you watched it that day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it on.
Yeah. So, and now you're like me. So, in that regard. So, we're going to talk about that and what we consumed this week. But I did see Long Legs, which we talked about last week, which was really, really great.
Oh my God. That's making me excited for when I see it.
Yeah. It's so good. And I did not realize until afterwards that Nicolas Cage is in it.
Oh, he's in it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
As like the Long
villain?
Legs. Yeah.
Oh.
I had no idea that it was him. And then I was on Letterboxd and somebody was like, Nicolas Cage is amazing. And I'm like, what? He wasn't in that. And then I looked and I'm like, what?
Wait, so you don't see him in the film?
No, he's wearing makeup.
Oh, so you can't recognize him?
I did not recognize him at all.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, it's Nicolas Cage. Of course I know who it is. I did
You would
not
have
recognize.
thought by the voice. You would have been like, I know that voice.
Yeah. And it's not even, it's amazing. I loved it so much.
Wow.
Yeah. I gave it a great, obviously, log on Letterboxd. But what did you consume this week besides Tickled?
I watched Mamma Mia.
Oh, yeah.
The first one, via recommendation by my friend. It was my first time watching it, and I loved it.
Okay.
It was pretty nice.
Did you like the music?
Yeah, music was good.
Yeah, I like ABBA's music. It was like a big disco or big band that did a lot of disco in, I guess, like the 70s and 80s and 60s. I don't know. But I like them from my mom, but it's just not my like wedding and romance and all. It's just
normally
not my
that wouldn't be
thing.
my thing either. I'm not big on romance movies. First of all, I went in not knowing anything about it.
Okay.
I didn't watch no trailer. I didn't read no blurb about it. My friend was just like, watch this movie. And I said, okay, it's a musical. That's all I knew. I didn't even know it was a jukebox musical. So I was like, okay. And I don't know. I kind of liked it. I mean, it wasn't wow to me.
Yeah.
But it was something that I feel like I could put on in the background. It's a summer movie. It's good vibes, good feels. And I really did enjoy watching it.
Okay.
But I don't know if I would put it on regularly.
Right.
You know,
I
feel
like to actively watch.
Yeah, I think this is how it is. I wouldn't put it on, but if it was on, I wouldn't turn it off.
Okay.
That's how it is for me.
All right.
You know.
All right.
So that was good.
What about any of your reality shows?
Oh, I watched 90 Day Fiancé.
Okay.
As always. I'm kind of rewatching Before the 90 Days. So it's just a lot of drama that I live off of.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. And what?
No, it's just funny that you're like, it's just a lot of drama that I live off of.
I live off of this stuff. I'm not kidding. follow these people on Instagram. Like, I watch videos on YouTube about them, and so I can read the comments because I want to know what people are thinking during these scenes, these crazy scenes. And I'm like, okay, I need to know. I run to YouTube and I type in the exact scene that I'm watching, like at the moment, and I just read people's comments. 'Cause I'm thinking to myself, I cannot be the only one that thinks that this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I want to know what people are saying about it. So I watched that, and then I obviously watched House of the Dragon every single Sunday at 9. I'm tuned in. I'm sat, and that was amazing as always.
Great episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Episode, I don't know, I think 5.
Oh, okay.
I don't really keep track. Whenever it comes out.
Yeah.
And then I rewatched Twister.
Okay.
And in honor of Twister's coming out this weekend.
Yeah.
And that took me back. That took me back to childhood days.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how terrible, not terrible, but how like
dated
it was. I don't want to say terrible. Dated. It was just very dated. And as a kid, I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, this is really good. And then as an adult, you rewatch it and you're like, was it?
Yeah.
But the plot was still there. I love that storyline. It's so good.
I love that movie. I'll probably do the same thing.
You should, yeah.
Watch it before I go see Twisters this weekend. Did you ever watch I Love a Mama's Boy?
I've seen it on Discovery.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched it. Oh my God. Don't tell me.
It is so good.
Oh my God. Kyle, if I start a new series in reality TV, you're not going to see me for a good couple weeks. Like, oh my God, you got to be careful with reality TV and me because that is my favorite genre.
It is. So I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch more movies, or I would say like probably 70% movies, 30%.
And I feel like I'm 30% movies, 70% TV.
Well, I Love a Mama's Boy. I was glued to Discovery Plus.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it is
dramatic.
Oh my God, dramatic
Crazy.
isn't even the word.
Oh my God, I'm seated.
Yeah,
I have to.
It is so good, and I can't wait till you watch it so we can talk about it. Oh my God, and I can relate to some of it, and some of it, I'm like, some of them, the girls, the fiancés or whatever, or the girlfriends, are insane. Oh. Some of them, the moms are insane.
Yeah.
Some of them, it's like, you guys don't know what a healthy relationship is, so like, just shut up. The other ones, I'm like, oh, Mom, that's like a little bit, a
little bit much.
And I'm a mama's boy, not like that. I mean, some of these are really extreme.
Clarification.
Yeah. But some of these are very extreme. However, some of them I'm like, no, I would totally ask my mom's opinion on who I'm going to marry. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like the fiance may be like, what do you mean? Your mom doesn't like me? Blah, blah, blah. Well, it's crazy. You got to watch it. It's so good. I can't wait till you watch it now.
In 90 Day Fiancé, there are a couple of in-laws that I just immediately when they come on, I just want to turn it off.
Who was the girl?
Tell me. I probably know.
Is her name Nicole?
Nicole. Okay.
A big blonde girl.
Yeah. Nicole Inazan.
Yes.
Yes, from Morocco.
Yes.
And she had like a 3-year-old.
Yes.
Yes. I know who you're talking about.
I was so angry. She had her child calling him daddy.
Yep.
Within like a month.
What was her name? May. Her name was May, I think.
Was the baby, the child. And like.
Crazy.
She is insane.
She took her to Morocco.
Right.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
That was an insane story. That's one of the most insane storylines because they went on 90 Day Fiancé. They went on to the next season after when they debuted. I don't know if they were on Happily Ever After. I don't think so, but I could be wrong because it's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
But yeah, and she would get mad at him for not wanting to like hold her hand out in public.
Yeah.
And he would explain to her culture.
Yeah.
Like
we don't do that.
We don't do that.
Yeah.
And she would blow up.
Yes.
But he would also say that she was fat.
Yeah.
And unhealthy.
Yeah.
And he would just degrade her.
Yeah.
I think it was too much of a cultural thing.
Yeah. And they, even taking the cultural thing out, she's absolutely psycho. Yeah. Like, none of any of what you showed was a healthy relationship.
Nothing.
And if I was that child's son, or I'm sorry, that child's father,
I would
take her to court And I'd be like, I would get a court order that she is not allowed to introduce my child to her boyfriend or whatever until whatever, a year or whatever, because you're not going to mess up my child's head because you're nuts. You know what I mean? Calling him daddy. He hadn't even ever met her. It was through FaceTime or whatever. Like, oh my God.
And her mom was trying to talk sense into her, and she would always say, no, I love Azan. Azan loves me. We're going to work. Clearly didn't work out.
Yeah.
But.
Oh my God.
I know. That was just terrible.
Yeah.
That was a terrible situation.
It really was. It made me so angry that I literally, I think I went to look for her on Instagram and like I was gonna like just blast her.
I follow her on Instagram.
Do you?
She's like she like does Twitch. She's like
like Twitch streams.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was literally going to blast her, and then I'm like, wait a second, this was like 4 years ago, and
no,
I'm
but
just
you can
watching
still
now.
Do it. It's still relevant, kinda. I mean, I think that if it's on the streaming service, it's still relevant.
True. That is very true.
But what were you gonna say? I'm curious.
To her?
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna be like, you're legitimately an insane person and a horrible parent. You should lose custody of your child. That child would literally be better growing up by a pack of wolves in the forest than you, because you are damaging that child with your disgusting selfishness. Anyway, that's all. Just a nice
just
little
that.
note.
Just leave a little nice note, a little nice comment. No, like people do not. A lot of 90 Day fans do not like her. They don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's one of the most hated though. There's a lot of psychos in 90 Day.
There are. And here's the other thing. Nobody knows somebody well enough in 90 days. I had Redbox movies out from the freaking Redbox longer than these people have known each other and they're getting married. Like,
some of them make it though. There's one couple named David and Annie. They met for like, and he took a cruise to the DR where she was from. I think they hung out for 2 days and they got married. They got the 90-day visa. She came over. He had a son. And to this day, I believe that they're still together.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying it never works. I feel like
but it's like rare. Like you have to really like not even like 0.0. Yeah. 0.5%.
Yeah.
I mean, it is extremely rare, but it does happen.
Yeah, and I feel like that's more. I don't know what I'm saying.
There's a lot of names in 90 Day.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I know all of them.
I was putting it on when I'd be like cleaning my house or like folding laundry or something.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, here's something mindless I don't have to watch. But then I would get sucked in.
It's addicting. Then there's 90 Day Happily Ever After, 90 Day The Other Way, where they go to the countries, which is my favorite. It's my favorite.
Okay. I'll have to watch that one.
90 Day The Other Way. The Americans go to the countries. One woman goes to India, one goes to South Korea, one goes to Ethiopia. And these culture shocks, it's so interesting to watch for me because I'm watching it as, like the American. Like, oh my God, what would I do in this situation? What would I do if I had to go to India and see this? Or what, would I do that? Or would I, like, what? So I think that their reactions, not all of the time, is how I react. Because I think that sometimes they're not doing research.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not doing research on the country. And it's like, I mean, if you would have done research, you would have known that this is what to expect.
Yeah.
So for me, I would just do extra research and like just try to understand. But I feel like these people don't.
Well, I feel like you're also smart enough to know that you wouldn't move to a country for somebody you barely know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's just
I think I got to be talking
stupid.
to you for like 3 years, and we have had to have met a couple times to even get to that situation.
Right. Like, that's insane. Like, it's nuts.
But a lot of them do it because the woman is pregnant.
Right. Which is also
worse,
dumb to
in
me.
my opinion.
Yeah.
Because why are you taking one of them was pregnant or had a baby and she went to Ethiopia. And I'm like, Ethiopia of all places.
Yeah.
And you're an American. And her father was a doctor and her mom was a nurse. And and she wanted to have the baby in Ethiopia. I don't remember if she did, but it's just crazy stuff. And she went to go to the birthing facility and she saw the conditions.
Yeah.
And they were not good in comparison to America. And it was just crazy.
Yeah, I don't get it. I feel like so many of those people are like need very intensive therapy because
But not too much, because I still want my drama. I still want my drama, so don't get too fixed.
You're right. All right. We're gonna take a quick break.
Okay.
When we come back, we're gonna do the interview that I did with Rapman all about Supacell on Netflix. We'll be back in 60. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for rocking it through the commercial break with our sponsors that keep this show going. So, Amanda, I talked with Rapman, who is the genius creator, writer, director, showrunner of Supacell. Have you seen this?
No.
So it is blown up. It came out last week, I believe. It is blown up on Netflix, and it's number one on Netflix, like, around the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it is really good. So the log line is, when 5 ordinary South Londoners discover that they have ordinary powers, it's down to one man to bring them together to save the woman he loves. It is...
Oh, it's a show.
It's a show. Yep.
Okay.
It is, what, 8 episodes, I believe. Each episode takes the point of view of one of the characters.
Oh, so it's like Bridgerton, but with seasons.
I've never seen that.
Oh, never mind.
My mom used to watch that.
I don't watch that. My sister watches that. So it's just like, anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, so it's cool that each episode, so it's actually 6 episodes, it seems, for season 1. But each episode is a different point of view from one of the characters.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, let's jump right into my interview with Rapman.
How are you, man? Great to talk to you.
Yeah, man. Thank you for giving me your time, bro. Yeah, I'm good, man. Can't complain.
Awesome. So first of all, congratulations on Supacell. It is an incredible, and its success is well deserved. I want to go back a little, if you don't mind, first, and then come back up to Supacell. You started in music, and you were doing videos and that sort of thing. Why was it so important for you to have this visual element with your music?
I think it's just my love of visual storytelling, man. Like, I'm a massive storyteller. I'm a storyteller fan in general. Like, story is always like my biggest thing. But I never saw the music videos to the songs I wanted to hear. Like, give me the loot. I would die for that video from Biggie. It never came. Nas, Undying Love, Jay-Z a week ago. All of the stories videos, the songs that I love, never had visuals. So I was kind of doing it for other people like me who never got the visuals that they wanted, man.
Okay, I love that. And from that, you really became interested, or really focused, I should say, additionally, on storytelling through a visual element. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I kind of started realizing that's what came easiest to me, and that got the most reception. Because I was starting to release regular songs, and they were doing well, and they were harder for me to write. But when I went into my story bag, it's like it was easier. The reception came, and I felt it just became my go-to. And I was kept at it.
And who were some of your influences back then, both visually and musically?
Musically, it was definitely Tupac, Biggie, Nas, Jay-Z. That's for sure. Story-wise, film-wise, I loved John Singleton. The Shoes Brothers. Those were the main 2 I saw, because those were when I watched Menace Society and Boys in the Hood those days when I was younger, those were that's kind of like London, like our part of London. And where before those 2 movies, I never saw anything like the poverty area part of London that I lived in on screen. So I was a big John Singleton fan and the Shoes Brothers.
And so then you caught the attention of Jay-Z, of all people.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was just literally that came off of one of these musical narrated shorts I was doing. It just went viral in the UK, and then it got to a person in the UK who was very close to Jay-Z, and Jay-Z got it sent to him, and he was excited about it. And then next thing I know, I was meeting him. So yeah.
And you signed with Roc Nation.
Yeah.
which is incredible, and then you continued, I should say, to do projects, which leads us to Supacell. Why did you want to tell the story in Supacell?
I think the whole superheroes, superpower genre has just been a genre that I've always loved, but I've never really seen representation in it outside of Black Panther or Black Lightning. Basically, outside of Marvel and DC, it was a genre that I don't feel like ethnic minorities in general had a lot of presence in. And also on top of that, I never believed the whole get powers, get a cape, get spandex. I never understood that because I wouldn't think to do that. And if I asked 5 of my friends, that wouldn't be their first thought. So I was like, imagine people from where we're from sound and talk like us get powers. What would we really do? And that would just be like a debate conversation of fun and games. I was like, this needs to be a show. And I suppose that's where it came from. It's just the curiosity of normal people getting these powers, normal people seeing their powers and just seeing how they react to it.
It's interesting that you say that because my godson, Aiden, is mixed, black and white. And I took him to see Miles Morales, the Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
And, he was so hyped to see it. And I didn't get it because of my ignorance. And I'm like, I think he's awesome too. But like, why are you so, obsessed? And he was like, I've never seen a superhero that looked like me. And I was like, oh my God, that is like, holy crap, in my own ignorance, I don't see that. And he opened my eyes to that, and it made me realize how powerful representation is and how representation matters, because there's my little godson who is like, that guy looks like me, because he has his own little fro, and he identifies with him, and that's so important. It's so important in media, and so I love that for you. You were like, well, I don't see what I want to see on screen that represents me, so I'm going to make it.
That's literally it. I made the show that I wanted to watch. That's literally what I've done. Like, everything in there is my taste first and hoping that everybody else likes it. But that's literally the show I wanted to see on TV.
And so where did this go for you from kind of, idea in your head to, okay, yeah, this is going to be a project. This is going to be, my next thing that I'm putting 110% into?
It was kind of like, someone asked me about the idea before I knew I had the idea. They asked me and said, what are you going to do next? This was when I was promoting my last project. And then the Supercell idea, that wasn't called Supercell then. It was just normal people with powers came into my head. And I spoke it out loud. But then I went on a meeting with Netflix and they asked me, what have you got? What do you want to do next? And I'm just sitting there eating the free food that they brought me. And I gave them my idea. And I was like, okay, anything else? And I said, nah, not really. They said, you must have something. I was like, oh, I didn't know it was one of those means. I thought it was a general. So I said, okay, I've got this other idea. Normal people like me with powers, no spandex, no capes. And they went quiet while I'm eating my food. And I looked up and it looked like cha-ching. It excited them the way it excited my group of friends. And I was like, you know what? This is something I should work on. So during the lockdown, I just really got to work on it. I just went to work on it and just pull it all together and then send it to Netflix, and they wanted to make it.
I love that. And how did you decide? Because I imagine it's got to be, if you get to create this universe of powers, and obviously there's so many, unlimited stories that you could tell and unlimited powers that you could, use. How did you kind of narrow it down to these particular people and those particular powers?
The people came first. And because I say it in a very specific part of London, I know the London that the world knows usually is tea, crumpets, very, very different to the South London. South London is probably the most ghetto, poverty-driven part of London. And in London, those 5 characters that I've based, their representation of not everybody, but a wild range of different people in London. A delivery guy who, you know, is outdoor every day, the street kid who's still doing the gang stuff, a dad who's trying to get his reformity back on track by, you know, trying to get his future so he can see his child. Just basically all these bad people in different parts of London. I wanted to show different parts of South London specifically. So once I got them down, the type of characters that I thought were fun and I could relate to, I then just started thinking, okay, what powers would these people have? And I didn't match the powers with the personality because I feel like personality gets done more over the development stage. So when I realized, for example, our lead character, Michael, would have to save his woman by finding these groups of people, I said, if this guy hasn't got some sort of teleportation, we're going to have a lot of scenes where he's driving. There's going to be a lot of scenes of this guy driving to people. So I said, you know what? Let's give him something swift where he can get there and get there so we don't have to spend a story explaining how did he get there so fast. I don't like it when I see TV shows and the time jump of 1 minute they're there, then all of a sudden they're there. So we done that. And then same with the other character, our father who's trying to see his son, hasn't got any money, gets super strength. What does that do for him? Absolutely nothing, unless you're going to do the whole criminal activity thing that got you in this position in the first place. So basically, to cut it short, I'm going to put the powers that would make it the biggest obstacle or the biggest, you know, joy and what would make the story more entertaining. But it seems like through the screen, the characters adapted the powers so well, the cast, it feels like it matches their personality, but it wasn't my intention.
Okay. I love that. And for Supacell, you know, it is unabashedly black, which I think is incredible in the fact that I'm trying to be spoiler free, but particularly with how they have their powers, you know, and I think that is extremely smart how you worked that into it. Did you, as you're doing it, you know, as you're writing and developing the series, did you do those little, I don't want to say Easter eggs, but those little kind of things, knowing that it was kind of a nod to that, or was it kind of like just kind of happened as you were, you know, developing and writing?
No, when I decided I was going to do a superhero show, I always like to know where the powers come from. When I watch superhero shows and the powers, there's no explanation of the powers. I always kind of get annoyed. Like one of my favorite shows, Heroes, and to this day, we just don't know where them powers came from. They would just had powers, you know. And I still love the show, but I'd love someone to give me that question. So for when I was thinking, I knew I was going to do an all-black cast show. That was always going to be the case. I was just like, okay, what can be their power? And, you know, obviously we're referencing to sickle cell right now. It just makes so much sense, man. It's a disease that predominantly hurts darker skin, you know, and I never understood that because skin color is just complexion, man. I don't understand why there's a disease that predominantly brings the darker skin community down. So I said, you know what, if something can make us weak, let's do something to strengthen us and something to turn it on its head and make people living with it feel seen. And on top of that, let's raise awareness, because you can walk into a room with 10 people and ask, what do you know about put your hand up if you know how to sickle cell. If you have more than 3 hands up, you're in a really good room. Yeah. Because no one really knows about it. So it's raised a lot of awareness, and it's had a lot of people living with it feel seen and feel heard, and I'm really happy about that.
And you should be. It's an incredible thing for you. So currently it's #1 on Netflix, which has got to be insane, and it's well deserved. What did you do when you got that news?
It was crazy because I used to watch the trades. I always read the trades. I read the trades every day, and I always used to see the list of top 10 on Netflix, and I always thought that list was just the American list of the US, but it wasn't. It was, okay, you could be #2 in America, but #1 in 85 other countries, and they tally it like that. So I remember calling Netflix, like, are we #1 in America? Yeah, cool. I know we're #2. Are we #1 yet? We're #1. Are we #1? They're like, raps. It doesn't matter if you're #1 in one territory. Netflix says, yes, the US is the biggest territory, but it's about where you are globally. And I was like, okay. So then when I got the call to say, look, we think you're going to be global #1 this week. And that to me is crazy, because Netflix is in every home. So if you're #1 globally, the amount of eyes that have seen your work as a creator, that's just like, it was such a win, man. I text all the cast, and we all kind of just celebrated with emojis and happiness, because you have to understand, like, we're a small show compared to all the big shows. We're a brand new show. And anyone in TV will tell you, launching a brand new IP is very hard, especially if you haven't got known talent in, it's hard. So the fact that we went with little promotion and became number one just off of word of mouth, it was really nice, man. Really nice feeling.
And it's a testament to your work and the work of, the entire cast and crew, but ultimately your vision, you know what I mean? So that's huge.
Thank you.
Of course. So I heard that you actually used a specific kind of camera that captures black skin more accurately. Is that right, or am I?
Nah, it got the article that first launched that. They didn't have any bad intentions. They just misheard how we've explained it. At the time when we filmed, a camera called the RE35, great camera, just launched. There was like maybe 4 of them in England at the time. And every production company I was about to film and wanted them, and we needed them. And we got them. The camera's amazing, but it wasn't just the camera. The camera's great in low light, so that helps obviously with darker skin tone. But we specifically went out the way to make sure all the dark skin was lit and well. And I think the reason why it's not normally, because if you talk about your majority show, let's just say Stranger Things, for example. I'm not saying it's not lit and well, but because obviously the majority of cast is white and you get one black, if there's a scene with all 6 of the heroes there, the light is going to favor the majority in the shot. So sometimes the darker skin tone kind of falls flat because it's not the right lighting. What we done, because we had a majority black cast, we brought on a makeup artist who's great at doing makeup for darker skin. We brought someone that knows how to light darker skin. We had this camera, which is great in low light. So it was a marriage of all the things together, specifically honed to make black skin look as beautiful as it is. And yeah, that was it. So it wasn't just one thing.
That's cool. And thank you for clarifying that, because that seems to be out there right now. So I was like,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I get asked it all the time, and everyone's like, what's this magical camera? I was like, bro, I don't know, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Where obviously this was season 1, I had read somewhere that your plan is for a 3-season arc. Is that accurate? Is that still what you're thinking now?
I've got a minimum 3-story arc in my head. I know where it goes for 3 seasons. Not to say it couldn't go past if the story made sense, but I've got a 3-season story in my head. Yeah, that's how I've always told Netflix I've got 3 seasons in me if you give me the seasons, basically.
And so now, based on, have you already written or developed season 2, or are you starting to get into that now?
I haven't written an episode of it properly yet, but I've jotted down the character arcs and things like that. And because I know the words so well, it doesn't actually take me long to write the episodes. We're just waiting for Netflix to press that green button, man. That's what we're waiting.
It's coming for sure. And do you, streaming, for those that are watching or listening, is obviously a little bit different in the development process, because typically if you've been greenlit for a season 2, you're already you're working on it immediately, so it's out by September or whatever in the traditional model. With this, obviously, with streaming, it's a little bit different, which gives you some time. Like, do you look at feedback and you're like, maybe I could, or are you able to separate it and be like, nope, I know what I want, and that's what it's going to be?
It's funny because sometimes I'll get a message or a DM, or I'll see a tweet that's like, okay, that's pretty interesting, and it's fun. But the minute you start actually going into it to write it, that stuff falls out of your head, because there's so much variables that the viewer just doesn't know about. They don't know how it's going to end. They don't know what there's so much they don't know. So you end up kind of shutting it out. But sometimes I see some great ideas. I think, that's pretty interesting. So I think when it comes down to it, some stuff does stay with you subliminally. So you might come up with an amazing idea that you think is yours, but you don't know. You've read this tweet somewhere. You don't even know that. So who knows what's sick? But I don't tend to pull up all the comments and see what I can do. I kind of keep my vision clear.
Awesome. Well, Rapman, thank you so much for speaking with me. I can't wait till the next season and beyond of Supacell. And seriously, and sincerely, kudos to all
Thank
of
you.
the hype and love that the series is getting. It's so well deserved.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
All right, speak soon. See ya.
All right.
Rapman. Supacell is streaming exclusively on Netflix right now, season 1. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's so cool.
Yeah, he really is. Like, I love how he's such a storyteller, you know, like even with his music, as he was saying, it's not like about the hook or whatever, or the beat, like it's the story.
You can tell that he really tries to go in depth with what he does.
Exactly. Yep. And I think that's why Supacell works so well. So now you got to watch it. It's really good.
I will. Adding it to my never-ending list.
Add it to your list. All right. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to get back to the feature. We're going to come back with the feature presentation, which is Tickled, because this is batshit insane. But we'll get to that. I can't wait to talk about it with Amanda. We'll be back in 60. All right, we are back. Thanks for hanging out with us. So I randomly was, I have so much to do at my house because, I just bought it 2 years ago, which sounds like a long time, but I travel a lot. So I don't, it's not like I'm there every day to be able to get stuff done.
Right.
Then my mom had passed away a couple years ago, and my dad recently sold my parents' house. So I took everything from there, and I'm going through it.
Yeah,
so I can either donate. Yeah, so it looks like a hoarder's, although it looks a lot better now than it did. But so I'm always throwing on something that like is interesting, but won't distract me.
Right.
So like I could just kind of listen to it or whatever.
Yeah.
So I randomly saw this image on Netflix of like a feather, and it was like tickled, and I'm like, what? And so then I click on it, and I'm like, this sounds insane. I'm in, right? So the log line is journalist David Farrier stumbles upon a mysterious tickling competition online. As he delves deeper, he comes up against fierce resistance, but that doesn't stop him getting to the bottom of a story stranger than fiction. So I'm like, okay, like I said, weird. I'm in. So I, first of all, got nothing done with my room.
I'm cracking up.
I was glued to this. It is batshit insane. I then became like obsessed, where like I'm Googling the people in it. I ended up finding out that there's a short follow-up called The Tickle King, and this is just insane. So I texted you the very next day, and I'm like, yo, I want to do the whole feature presentation about Tickled. And, obviously you're like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, you've got to watch this movie. And you're like, okay, I guess. And then you did.
I did. I couldn't contain it because you sounded so passionate over text. So I said, okay, he's tweaking about this. So I have to right now. So I put it on while I was doing my work. Weird.
Yeah.
Real freaking weird.
So overall, do you see why I was so passionate about it?
Yes.
Isn't it like, it's like a really good reality show, but not like you know what I mean? It's obviously it's a documentary, but like the twists and turns and the craziness of it.
Are we going to do spoilers?
No,
come on.
Or, okay.
The twist is too huge to not talk about. How are we going to talk about the twist without spoiling it?
This came out in 2016. So that was what, 8 years ago?
If people haven't watched it by now, it's their fault.
Yeah. So, all right. Where
take
do I
a
even
breathe.
start?
Take a breather.
Yes.
Before we start to go in depth.
So I start watching this. David Farrier, who's an incredible journalist, and I didn't actually even know until I watched this that he did Dark Tourist too, which is a really cool documentary series on Netflix.
Oh, that. After I finished Tickled, that popped up, and I was really interested in that.
Yeah.
Like, that's from the same guy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's such a good show. It's like weird historical stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was the same guy until I watched this. David Farrier, You know, he is always doing these odd and kind of quirky stories. He somehow, somebody sends him or something a Tickled video, and he's like, what's this? Or,
I think he stumbled upon it.
like just searching or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is kind of weird. You know, then he begins researching it because he wants to do a story on it. He notices that a lot of these videos, almost all of them, are coming from this Jane O'Brien media.
Yeah.
All the casting calls, you know, all of it is coming from this same kind of company, which Jane O'Brien Media, first of all, sounds like a fake name.
It does.
Yeah.
Jane O'Brien.
Right. Like,
media.
Could you be any more yite with this?
Red flag number 1.
Yeah. And then, weirdly enough, he reaches out. Oh, that part's not weird. He reaches out to them to say, hey, thought this was like quirky and odd. Let's do a story. I'm going to do a story on this. Can I talk to you?
Right.
He didn't mean anything. He just thought it was like an odd, weird thing.
He just wanted to do an interview. That's nothing. That's completely normal.
Right. And they respond.
I was shook.
Yeah.
From that response.
With this horrendous email being like, we refuse to have interviews with homosexuals or something. And like what? Like, where did that even come from?
It was
like,
very harsh.
Yeah. So harsh and so aggressive. It's like, what? Like, that doesn't even, he's not attacking. He's like literally like, hey, what you do is quirky. I'd love to do a interview with you about it. And they're like, they respond with that, which is so wild to me because it's like, the stuff you're doing is pretty gay.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah.
He said, I found it hard to take that email seriously because it looked gay.
Right.
Or it seemed gay.
Yeah.
And it's like, it does. The videos that they put on the documentary, they were being, it was just.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like blatantly homosexual behavior, but it's pretty homoerotic. Like you have these young athletic guys that they literally seek out, young athletic guys.
Yeah.
To like sit on each other and tie each other down and like tickle each other, clothed. But I mean, that's.
With the way the world thinks nowadays, anyone's going to assume that is in some type of way gay.
Right.
Because
or
it's
at
just,
least leaning
just how
over
it
there.
is.
Yeah. I mean, it's it doesn't make the people involved gay or whatever, but I mean, it's pretty gay.
Yeah.
My gay friends would be like, that's pretty gay. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not calling them homosexual.
No, of course not.
But that behavior is sus.
You know
what I mean? It's pretty sus.
Sus. Yes, I do agree. It is sus.
Yeah. So then, I guess we kind of have to go through some of this in detail in order to talk about it.
We do.
Right? Yeah.
We do.
So, note to yourself, if you haven't seen this yet, maybe go watch it yet. It's on Netflix right now. And then come back and listen to this episode because there's really no way around
the spoilers.
There really isn't. I promise you want to watch this movie. And the follow-up, The Tickle King. You need to watch this movie. It will change your life like it has changed mine, and I'm obsessed. I don't know why. I just think it's all so weird and crazy and unbelievable, but it was all true. It's all true. Like, it's nuts. So anyway, all right, back to us. So then David, the journalist, seems like, well, that's even more intriguing now that they've written this horrible email, blah, blah, blah. So he calls a buddy in, a television producer, Dylan, to kind of help him look further into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were you thinking at that point as you were watching?
After I saw the email, I was immediately taken aback.
Yeah.
Because of how harsh it was.
Yeah.
And I probably would have done the same thing as David.
Yeah.
I would have looked at this email and been like, what in the world did I just get?
Yeah.
Why are they so defensive right off the bat?
Yeah.
It was such a defensive email.
Yep.
That it's really hard to not be more intrigued by it.
Exactly. That you put it perfectly. It was so defensive unnecessarily. Like, you could have just said,
no, thank you.
Yeah, no thanks.
We're not interested.
Exactly. Like, you went like, please look at us. We have so much to hide. you went that route by saying what you did. You know what I mean?
Like, I don't understand why it was so, you really just shot yourself in the foot by sending that email.
Yeah. Yeah. So then this man gets his buddy, a television producer, to start filming this stuff. So then they write some blog posts, and those go viral because that whole thing was weird.
Well, first of all, when Dylan came on board, they were researching the domain name.
Oh,
remember?
yeah.
And they found 300 domain names that all related to tickling.
Yep.
So that was another thing that fueled David to look into this.
Right.
Which, by this point, I was completely in.
Yeah. That's when I got sucked in.
The 300 domain names, I said, okay, I gotta. Well, I was still working. Krista, I was still working, I promise. But I was like, okay, whoa, that's a lot of domain names.
Yeah.
For under what?
Yeah.
And all related to tickling.
Yep.
What the heck?
Exactly. Which is, we're not knocking your fetish if that's your thing.
Well, I'm kind of knocking it.
Well, I'm not knocking your fetish. It's not hurting anybody. You know, as long as everybody is willingly participating and they're adults and all that, whatever. It's unusual. I don't think anybody would deny that. A tickle fetish is unusual.
I don't think anybody knows what that is.
Exactly.
I didn't know what that was.
Exactly.
Until this.
Yeah, when I read the thing and it was about competitive tickling, I'm like, that's weird. I didn't even know that was competitive tickling. Come to find out, like, what?
It's just so funny.
The whole thing? Yes.
I'm trying to contain my laughter in the mic, and I just can't do it.
I mean, there's a big world out there, and I don't know everything or most of everything. So I'm like, oh, there's like these, I didn't know if it was Olympics. Like, I didn't know. Competitive tickling, I'm like, okay, that sounds weird. I'm in. Like, that was weird enough. But then when I realized there was a sexual, like, thing with it, I'm like, even weirder. Like, I don't understand how.
People like that stuff.
But I don't even understand, like, I think at one point one of them said it's really about the power over the person, like, because you're tying them up and then you're tickling them and then it's up to you to decide when to stop. So it's almost like a pleasant form of torture in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even. What?
Is this tickle torture?
Yeah, it's like so bizarre.
It's crazy.
It's so bizarre.
And I would die a little bit every time they said the phrase tickle torture.
I know.
Like, don't say that phrase. It just grossed me out.
And then the person's screen name was Terry Tickle.
I couldn't believe that.
Who does that? Terry Tickle. Like, obviously that's not a real name. Like, it sounds like a bad Batman villain.
It sounds like a character on Sesame Street. Terry Tickle. Yeah. Like, what the heck?
My name is Terry Tickle.
No, for real.
No, it really does. That was a creepy Muppet. It should have been like, my name's Terry Tickle. Well, that sounds even creepier. And she laughs at the end. Oh, that was a guy that I was doing.
Oh, he laughs at the end? They laugh at the end.
Oh, my name's Terry Tickle. Something weird. You know what I mean? Anyway. Yes. So, like you said, they've all of these domains that are all tickle related. Hundreds. And what? Over 300 of them.
300, yeah.
300. Like, what do you even do with all those like, the whole thing is so perplexing, right? And similarly, like you said, I'm, cleaning up my room, and then I'm like, okay. And that's when I didn't get anything done for the rest of the evening because I was all in. I could not keep my eyes on it.
I actually had to rewatch it because I was, like I said, I was doing it while I was working.
Yeah.
And I was kind of listening to it and kind of not. And then once I clocked out, I was like, okay, I'm locked in.
Yeah.
And I rewatched the whole thing. So I've seen it twice.
Yeah.
And then, wait, my sister came home from work and I made her watch it. So I think that I've watched it 3 times.
What did she think?
Okay, we didn't finish it. We got 40 minutes in, but I didn't tell her anything. So I told her, I said, hey, one of my coworkers, he texted me this film and it's called Tickled and I'm wanting to watch it. And she's like, what it's about? And I was going to tell her. I was going to tell her what it was about. But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I want you to go in here completely blind.
Yeah.
and she was shook. I was getting her raw reaction. I'd look over, mouth is open, hand is over the mouth, eyes are bulged out. I'm like, yeah, keep on watching.
Yeah.
Keep on watching. And it was like 11 p.m. and we had to stop it because we were so exhausted.
Yeah.
But we're finishing it tonight.
Oh, good.
So I'm going to watch Tickled again for the 4th time.
That's so funny. Yeah, so at that point for me, I was like, something nefarious is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
For sure.
this isn't just some weirdo company that's doing like some kind of sex thing. Something's wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like really wrong.
It's sus.
Exactly. It's very sus. So they're researching. Oh,
Then she starts harassing them. Though.
yeah, she's harassing them and then sends two, what he thinks are lawyers, two representatives
Yeah.
to New Zealand to meet with him to stop him
It
from
was
doing
3.
this. Oh, it was 3.
It was
Yeah. Oh,
3.
yeah, that's right.
I watched this 4 times.
Yeah.
Okay with me? Okay. It was 3.
To kind of stop them. The one guy was super nice, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
The guy with the long gray hair was horrendous.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
He was he was also defensive.
Yeah.
I mean, he shook his hand, said nice to meet you, and then 30 seconds later it was, I know what you think you're trying to do here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is he, what the heck?
Yeah.
And David was explaining, New Zealand laws, we are allowed to film in public.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're not researching the country that you're going to.
Exactly.
So why are you getting so upset and then storming off?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you have to hide?
Exactly. And why did you come all the way out there just to start off on a bad foot with this guy?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And
Because David was very respectful.
he was.
Extremely.
Yeah. Like he was way nice. I thought to myself, when that guy said, I know what you think you're trying to do or whatever, I in my head I had like a whole argument with the guy. As I was David, and I'm like, no, mother clucker. Here's what I am doing. I know what you think you're doing coming here to try to convince me to not do it. But guess what, bud? Talk is over. Hope you enjoyed your flight. See you later. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, bitch.
But maybe David didn't want to get off on the wrong. He didn't, because obviously they're going to talk again.
Yeah.
So they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's the initial meeting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he was very...
he's very professional. I got to commend him.
Which I am
because I got to commend David because, maybe it's that New Zealand thing.
Yeah.
Because Americans...
Yeah, we would have been like exactly like what I said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and he was very, like, never got angry with him.
Never.
Like, never misspoke. He was, but still gave the facts. He was like, I understand, but, in New Zealand, we're not doing, this is the law and we're allowed to, blah, blah, blah. And
Right.
so anyway, like, he was very nice and cordial.
Too nice.
And, yeah. And I'm like, wow, but I guess that's why he has a movie out and I don't, because I would have, fought with the guy. Yeah. So then they do that and they don't want, the next day or whatever, they don't want the cameras rolling in the meeting, but it sounds like they have audio recording anyway.
They do.
And they're basically telling him, you should be scared if you continue on this path. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree? Like, that's kind of what they implied.
That is what they implied. And I just feel like it was so weird.
Yeah.
Because why is it such a big deal right now?
Right.
All David did was ask a question, can I do an interview? And then harassment followed immediately after.
Yeah.
Immediately after.
Yeah, and he was getting all kinds of emails, like multiple emails all the time from this Jane O'Brien Media and
By Debbie Kuhn.
right. Yes.
And he asked them, have you ever met her or Jane? And they all said no.
Right. Which is also
Weird.
really freaking weird.
And when he asked, does that concern you guys? They were like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. As if they're putting their whole entire faith
Right.
in these people
That you've never met.
you've never seen before.
That you literally flew across the world for and haven't met them. Like,
That's insanity.
yeah. The whole thing is so weird. And then, of course, they basically, bully him.
He had that coffee and the camera in the coffee cup.
Oh, yeah.
That was so smart. of him.
Yes, it was.
David points.
Yeah.
He got points for that.
Yeah, he's awesome. And then they were even more, David and Dylan were even more intrigued because they're like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
So they basically follow them back to L.A.
Yeah.
and find, obviously through their research, but they find a casting call and kind of stake it out to see what's going on. Which, who's at the casting call but that one weird guy that wasn't like the two adults, he was like the younger one, that it was like, you can't film me, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
He was there, and the gray-haired man.
Yep.
And they were filming.
Sus.
Yeah.
And he said that you can hear laughter through the vents.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's creepy.
That's
number one.
so creepy.
Number two, I would feel like I am invading privacy,
I know.
honestly. Like, it seems so intimate.
I know. And yeah, the whole thing is so weird. And these guys, some of them, here's the other thing, some of them were underage, which I didn't understand because
Oh, they were?
Yeah. Remember the one guy, the MMA fighter guy?
Oh, he was, yes.
He was saying that a guy that he had recruited was underage, and then his family got, notified, and they were all mad. I guess because it's not blatantly pornographic that it's okay.
Yeah.
But that is horrible.
Well, those were never supposed to go out anyway because those were
Right.
the auditioning tapes.
Right. Which is also sus. Like, oh, yeah.
They had to do 3 levels of auditions.
Yes.
They had to do the initial one, the tickle test.
Yeah.
And then I hate saying that, man.
Hold on. The tickle test.
I hate saying,
Yeah, it gives me creeps just saying it.
The tickle test number 1 was just like regular tickling, and then they tied him down for tickle test 2. And then for tickle test 3, they like went all in.
Yeah.
It is just like, there's steps for this?
Yeah.
This is chaotic.
It is insane. I can't even believe we're talking about this.
I can, because it's just, I don't know. It's tickling, man.
It's just like, it's so weird and wild. And yeah. So in this story, they figure out this person known as Terry DeSisto, whose alias was Terry Tickle.
Stop. Oh my God. I'm getting.
You're going to hear that, like, you're going to like lay down tonight, and then you're going to like hear a faint whisper. It's going to be like, Terry Tickle.
And then I'm going to throw a hand. and then
nobody's there.
We're going to, but I'm sure Terry Tickle would, wait, Tickle Terry? Is it Terry Tickle? Like, I just don't want to talk about that no more.
He's going to haunt our dreams.
Oh my God.
So they find out about this Terry DeSisto is behind all this, and that person had been distributing tickle videos online like literally since the early 90s. And then David and Dylan go and talk to this independent tickling video producer who, that guy seemed, besides the whole tickling thing, relatively normal.
He did seem normal.
You know what I mean?
I didn't get any weird vibes.
Exactly.
Until he started doing what he was doing.
I know. And even then I was just like...
First of all, the slow-mo zoom in of his face as he's tickling, that sent me over the edge.
That was unnecessary.
That was so creepy.
It was creepy.
And the music, but oh my God.
I know, the music. I'm like, what is this? But until that, like you said, until that part, I was like, oh, this guy's normal. He just like runs basically an adult like fetish site.
Yeah.
And then they started doing the tickling. And the guy they were tickling, he's like, hey, bro, what's up? Like, yeah, I thought it was weird at first, but like, who doesn't love a good tickle or something? I'm like...
He was like, I'm the risk taker.
Yeah.
And my sister was like, for tickling?
Yeah. Yeah, you're such a bad boy. Like, what? It is...
To each their own.
Yeah. And I don't think that guy did it for pleasure, the guy that was getting tickled.
Yeah.
I think he just wanted the money and was like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, and they make a few $1,000s like a pop.
No, that's some good money, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, Terry Tickle, if you're out there. I don't mind getting tickled for a few thousand, you know what I mean?
I don't think I make the cut.
But yeah, so, oh God, I hope I don't get weird emails now and like, yeah, send us feet pics. I already get that. Now I don't want this weird. I swear to God.
Oh my God.
I get such weird DMs sometimes.
Jesus.
Yeah. But anyway, so they interview this guy, and comparatively, he's like, oh, I know who that is. first of all, and like, yeah, they've been doing this forever, and then yeah, I do this and blah blah blah. Like it felt like a business. Like a weird business, but a business.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to the Jane O'Brien media, which felt like a weird, creepy crime syndicate. You know what I mean? Which it kind of was.
The tickle sessions were, I don't know. Those were just very eerie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Look at the location that these are being filmed at.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like abandoned type building.
Yeah.
Like apocalyptic vibe.
Right.
And it's very secluded.
Yep.
Number one, it looks old as I don't know what. Number two. Number three, it's just a bunch of random guys.
Yeah.
That are all in the same age range, and it's getting tied down and going to Tickletown.
Yeah. Tickletown. They're on the train to Tickletown. They're on the tickle train to Tickletown. Oh my God. And then they interviewed that one group of guys like before it got crazy.
TJ. Remember TJ? The one that talked about the site that was put up.
Oh, yeah.
I felt so terrible for him.
Yeah.
And that ended up being the 300 domain sites that Dylan found in the beginning of the documentary.
Yeah.
I could not believe it.
Yeah. And he was the one that was like recruited to wait. Which one was TJ? Now I'm getting confused.
TJ was the one in the very beginning where he was the football player. No, he was a football player.
Oh, where they're interviewing at the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah.
And, I think he got offered $2,000.
Yeah.
And Kevin, one of the guys that met David in New Zealand, he said that Kevin told him that it was a tickle torture project for the military.
Right.
And he was like, that is complete.
Made up. Yeah.
Like, that's complete cap. Like, ain't no way. He was like, yeah, they're going to use tickling as a torture in the military, in the U.S. military.
Right. Exactly. And video it. You know what I mean? And like, have these random weirdos in there. Like,
and he found his tape on YouTube.
Yep.
And he emailed Jane O'Brien.
Yep.
And he didn't get the response.
And they destroyed his life.
Completely.
Destroyed his life, harassed him, sent his videos to his employers. He was a football coach, sent it to his school that he was coaching at, like completely destroyed his life. Also, way overly aggressive, just like what they started with David.
They were making up rumors. They said that he was a child molester.
Right.
That he was a drug addict.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy got raked through the mud.
Yeah.
Over this whole entire, and then they made that website, and not only that, but they put all of his personal information on that website.
His address, his phone numbers, his family, everything, like completely horrendously disgusting.
Unbelievable.
Horrendously. And what they were finding was anybody who questioned what was happening is what this Jane O'Brien media was doing to the guys who would be like, hey, is this legit? Or, hey, I thought that video wasn't supposed to be online.
They would make a whole entire website about that guy
in their own name. So it would be like having KyleMcMahon.com and somebody putting up all of my information, these tickle videos that I thought were private, were never supposed to go anywhere, and basically destroying my life if I questioned why this video that was supposed to be private. Right. Or if you stopped. Yeah.
That's blackmail.
Exactly. It's horrendous.
That's sick.
And then when they interviewed that one group of guys together, there were like 4 or 5 of them. They looked like they were on a soccer team or something.
Yeah.
I was like, I think that was towards the beginning. And I was like, oh, this is like, and then when they started like doing, I was like, oh. I was like, these are like normal guys who are just like, whatever, I need $2,000 or whatever. And then get kind of roped into this and then are blackmailed into continuing to do it, or their lives will be ruined. Like, it's insane. Oh, and how about that guy, David Starr?
I literally felt so bad for him.
So did I.
When his bit came on.
Yeah.
Because then, but he didn't work for Jane O'Brien. He worked for Tickled Terry.
Right.
And stop laughing at that.
Tickled Terry.
And then, okay. And then Tickled Terry went to the hospital for 6 months?
Yes.
And was still demanding these videos be made.
Yeah.
And David was the recruiter? I don't think he was being tickled, but he was the one that was recruiting the men.
I thought he was filming it.
Yeah, I think he was filming and recruiting.
Oh, and recruiting. Yeah.
Because he described himself as like her little drug dealer.
Exactly.
So he didn't want to do it eventually because she wanted to then post the videos.
Right. He realized that she was posting the like audition videos, which they were being told weren't going to be posted.
Right.
So he was like, that's wrong.
Yeah, he took a stand, and then she completely flipped.
Yep. And ruined
was
his
sending
life.
Oh my God. Those videos about his, those letters about his brother.
Yeah, who had passed away.
Was terrible.
Yeah.
And having his mom, like, get those mails
Yeah.
too. My God.
Yeah, it was absolutely, it was insane.
But then it's a twist.
But then, the twist.
Twist.
Go.
It was actually a man named David D'Amato
Yes.
that was running both, allegedly, running both Tickled Terry and Jane O'Brien Media.
Right.
But David D'Amato, because didn't David Starr email someone for help? And he said, send this file
Yes.
to Tickled Terry.
Yes.
And in that zipped file,
It was like all of his like personal information.
all of his
and
personal
stuff.
information that
Yep.
was linked to that person. First of all, he took the social security numbers of Terry DeSisto, the real Terry DeSisto,
Who had passed away.
who had passed away.
Yeah.
And was posing as her.
Yeah.
This deceased woman.
Yep. And had credit cards in her name and everything.
And then to top it all off, he was a assistant principal.
Right. Wow.
Assistant principal.
That's crazy.
I've watched this 4 times.
It makes you wonder, like, was he like recruiting people? I'm sure they would have figured it out, like David and Dylan and all. But
Right.
like, was he recruiting people from his schools? I guess not. But they also said he was going, like, he would only work at a school for like a couple years and then go to another one and like blah, 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 which is
That's
also
extremely weird.
Yeah. Yeah. It is insane. And then they locate this guy, David D'Amato, who is so weird and like reclusive. And it come to find out his father was like a billionaire or something because he started like some big D'Amato and something bank or something on the stock market or something.
Right.
So he was basically living off of
A trust fund.
a trust fund. He literally was.
And then when his mother passed away,
He got money
inherited
there, too.
millions
Yep.
from her estate.
Yep. Yeah, so he was using all of this money for all these weird things and kind of bullying people into, well, like you said, blackmailing. Not even bullying, blackmailing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so they learn that he served a 6-month prison sentence for disabling a computer system at 2 different universities in retaliation against an 18-year-old. Remember that? He had an 18-year-old that he was doing underage shoots for him, tickle videos for David D'Amato.
Mm-hmm.
When he went to college, he was like, I'm done doing this.
Okay.
And remember, David ended up logging in to his school's computer system, shutting it down and pretending that it was him, the student.
Is that when the Secret Service came in?
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And it was at Temple University in Philly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait. I thought it was Drexel.
Drexel, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was at Drexel. Because I remember hearing Drexel and I was like, oh my God, that's 40 minutes from me.
Yep.
Oh my
So
God.
he broke into their system pretending to be the student, all because he was like, I'm not doing videos anymore. That is beyond psychotic.
You can tell that David D'Amato never got told no
Exactly.
as a child.
Yep.
Because that is not normal behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. It is like supervillain behavior. It's insane. Yeah. And then they kind of, I don't want to say stalk him, but Dylan and David end up kind of, they want to talk to him because he's the one behind all of this.
Right.
He's the one that's, bullying and harassing David.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to confront him and be like, hey,
Yeah.
let's get on the record and have a conversation. And they finally track him down. And he basically threatens him legally and blah, blah, blah. Like, that was crazy.
Well, didn't they wait like a week or a couple days for him because he did not come out of his apartment?
Exactly.
Which is also kind of weird.
That is weird.
Why are you not leaving your house for days on end? It's
Right.
not COVID.
Exactly. It's so weird. Like, what are you doing? I can't go 3 hours without leaving my house. Like, what are you doing for 5 days in a row?
Apparently these tickle rings.
Tickled Terry.
Stop.
It's Tickled Tuesday. Oh my God.
God. Let's not make that a thing, please. I'm so close to walking out. Finish this by yourself. No, I'm kidding, but don't test me.
So then he ends up contacting so his father had passed away.
Yes.
His mother had passed away.
Yes.
So David ends up contacting his stepmother, which is basically had cut ties off with him after the father died, because she was like, I'm scared of him. He's insane. And she said that she was shocked that he was back in the tickle ring or whatever.
Yes, she did.
You know what I mean?
And David said
he never
stopped.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the stepmother just tells David D'Amato's whole life story.
Yeah. Yep. Then she's like, you know what? Boom.
Here is this. He was bullied as a kid. They locked him in a locker as a kid. His mom was protective. Just trust fund, baby. Just the whole entire thing that you would assume from a person like this.
So then that's the end of the film. Incredible film by itself, right? Mm-hmm. Then, of course, I'm Googling and researching and all, and David D'Amato actually sued his stepmother for that.
$40 million.
Yeah, and he lost, which I think is hilarious.
First of all, I cannot believe he didn't go to prison for everything that he did.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he was allowed to go to law school.
Right.
While he was doing his sentence.
Yes.
And that one guy who was speaking, he was saying, the court system was like, yes, this is exactly who needs to be a lawyer.
Exactly.
This guy who stole this deceased woman's identity, this one who is blackmailing, this needs to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous to me.
It's insane.
And he did it. He graduated from law school.
Yep.
What?
It is
The
absolutely
irony.
insane. Yeah.
The irony in it.
So then he's passed away now, David D'Amato.
Oh, I did research that.
Yeah. And
so he can't have anything to say about this.
Exactly. David D'Amato actively spammed and trolled a variety of news groups, particularly alt.gothic and rec.music.fish, from roughly 1996 to 1999, initiated email bombings against those he considered opponents, and solicited video recordings of young male adults being bound and tickled, all while using the pseudonym alter ego Terry DeSisto, who was supposedly a female college student. D'Amato was found guilty of email bombings, which caused service outages at a number of colleges and universities. He was fined $5,000.
That's it.
And spent 6 months in federal prison after being convicted. He died in March 2017, which was 1 year after Tickled came out, which I think is also interesting.
Wait, exactly 1 year?
Not to like the day.
Oh, okay.
So the documentary,
weird.
Yeah, that would have been very weird. Yeah, that came out May 2016. He died in March 2017, so not even a year. That's super interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I wonder where all of his money went. I'm just curious.
Yeah, he didn't have kids.
Yep.
Or a spouse.
Yeah. So then I found out on Reddit that there was a follow-up, a short called The Tickle King.
Yep.
Which I then, of course, had to watch. My entire night that night became consumed with this. I was like obsessed.
I can tell.
Yeah.
And I can see why.
Yeah. And I actually contacted David but I want to get him on and interview him about this and Dark Tourist and everything else he's doing, because I just need to know. I just need to talk to him.
Yeah. You just need to get more information. It's not enough.
It's not. I want to know
feel
everything.
content.
Exactly.
Like what? I know that there are some cuts. Tell me the cuts.
Yes. So for The Tickle King, which is like 20 minutes, says the follow-up to Tickled features new footage documenting the bizarre and unsettling things that happened to the filmmakers, which this was super, super interesting. David D'Amato shows up at a festival screening of Tickled, which is nuts.
When I saw, when I heard that David D'Amato was in the crowd, my jaw literally hit the floor.
Yeah.
I could not believe it.
Yeah. It is like the insane. Like when I say insane a lot, that's like insane.
That's really insane.
Yeah. You did all of this that is all documented in this movie, and then you go to a public screening of the movie with the director?
I mean, I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah.
He probably wanted to see it like everybody else. What are they saying about me?
With the Q&A.
Oh yes, the Q&A. Oh my God, I forgot about the freaking Q&A.
He's eating popcorn while they're talking about him. Like he's watching Twisters or something.
Just looking so unbothered at how this documentary that he's literally ruined these people's lives.
Yes.
Harassed, blackmailed, made up names, everything, the whole 9 yards. Everything you could think of, he did.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there eating his popcorn, listening to these people ask these outrageous questions that are very serious.
Yeah.
And he just is
like
living large.
Yeah, like it's like he's watching TV or something. It is insane. And then the gray-haired guy confronts David.
Oh yes, he does. In that what? In like it was in the screening?
It was a different screening because Dylan was on one screening and David was at the other one.
Yeah, and they got into it in the lobby.
Into it. And I'm like, "Oh, this is good. Like, this
is the drama
good. I live for. This is good." I mean, you cannot write that. You know what I mean?
No.
You cannot write. If that was not a documentary, I'd be like, that's so stupid. That would never happen. You know what I mean? Like if it was like a regular movie, like a fiction movie, I'd be like, that was dumb. Like that guy would never come.
No.
He came. They both came.
Came. With popcorn and all.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God. And what's crazy is David says that after those kind of public screening fiascos, never heard from him again. All the harassment stopped and everything.
Yep.
It's like so bizarre. Bizarre.
The whole thing.
So what do you think overall?
I think that David D'Amato was behind Jane O'Brien Media.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously Terry Tickle's confirmed.
Terry Tickle confirmed.
You know what? I am about to just... If David D'Amato was alive, I would call him. I'm kidding. It's just
like, my friend wants wants to be in your movies. My life has changed.
Was it really that impactful for you, Kyle?
Well, it's...
Because I feel like if I was a guy, it would put things a little bit more into perspective.
So it was impactful. Like when I say my life's changed, I'm being extra. But
are you really though?
I mean, I am to a point. But I mean, like, is my life like changed? Like, oh, I'm a new person. Like, not literally, but
have a revelation.
It was so powerful, because it's just so unbelievable and it's real. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's why I'm just like, okay. So I was obsessed with another documentary, which I don't know if you would like, but it is called Grey Gardens, which that was also a weird time in my life. My mom had just passed away. I was like kind of in a funk and not really leaving the house. Mm-hmm. And I was watching like reruns of like the Cop show on Pluto. And I was watching like Unsolved Mysteries. And I came upon this documentary called Grey Gardens.
Okay.
And I became obsessed with it. I still quote it to this day. It is so weird too.
What's it about though? Tickling?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No. It is about the daily lives of two aging, eccentric relatives of Jackie Kennedy Onassis. Eddie Bouvier Beale and her mother Edith are the sole inhabitants of a Long Island estate. During the course of the documentary, they discuss their habits, desires, and former loves with famous filmmakers. The women reveal themselves to be misfits with outsized, engaging personalities. So basically, the gist behind that, I feel like we're setting up a whole nother episode now on Grey Gardens now. But the gist behind Grey Gardens is that the mansion became like dilapidated.
No.
And then eventually the power company turned it off and the water company and blah, blah, blah. And so then you have these like kind of eccentric mother and daughter who, rarely, if ever, leave this estate, that have just lived there for decades. And so they like entertain themselves. They like make costumes. And it is so sad, but also so powerful and also so amazing that had a big impact on me too. Mm-hmm. I think it's true stories of weird things that I'm like, whoa, like those really get me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because
it's just like, there's a big world out there and a lot of us are confined to our own little bubbles that I'm like, what? Like somebody could do that to somebody else with like Jane O'Brien Media and all that, like, and then harass people. Like, it's just so outside of my bubble. Like I can't fathom somebody doing it. That to know it's real, it's not like a fictional movie, like it's a documentary, is wild to me. Same thing with Grey Gardens. Like you have these two women are, it's like your grandmother and your aunt or something.
Normal
like they're
people.
Well, they're very eccentric, like goofy and kind of weird and unique, but very sweet, like so nice. And so it'd be like if you had like a really weird grandmother that like dressing up, or a really weird aunt that you're like, oh, that's Auntie, Jess or whatever. Like, that's just how she is, but they live in this giant mansion in a neighborhood with all these multimillionaires. Theirs looks dilapidated and they don't have money to eat or, have power. And they live in this like giant rich thing. It's just so fascinating to me.
It's like so ironic.
Yeah.
How you're around big money and you live essentially in a house that is created from big money.
Right.
But you don't live the big money life.
Exactly. Yep.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. That documentary also had a big impact on me. I think it's the stories, like I said, like where there's these weird, I don't want to say outsiders, but weird outsiders. You know what I mean? In ways.
Because they in a way that they are outsiders because they're not in the bubble.
Right.
Of your life.
Exactly.
But for me, it's similar to what you said, and it also brings light how close these things happen.
Yeah.
Because this happened in New York.
Yeah.
And Philly.
Yep.
With that guy.
And they said he had cells all over the country.
Exactly.
Where he was recruiting these guys all over. They named like 25 cities or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's nice to see what goes on in these documentaries because it is out of our bubble, but in reality, it's really close to us.
Yeah.
It's closer than what I think we think.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
Because Philly's like 40 minutes from us.
Exactly.
So, Drexel, everyone around here knows Drexel University.
Yep.
I probably have friends that go to Drexel University. Right. It's like, dang.
Yeah.
That happened there?
That is why I think I love documentaries, especially good ones.
Yeah.
Because it does expose us to a world outside of our own.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Tickled.
That was crazy.
Yeah. Are you glad you watched it?
For the podcast, I am. Because I would have came in here and listened to this whole entire...
You would have thought I was an insane person.
You would have
thought I was more of an insane person.
Can you blame me? I don't think that anyone would take to this documentary with open arms initially.
Yeah.
Because it's just weird.
Yeah.
Number one, people don't know this is a fetish. People don't even know that this is a thing. People don't know that this is a form of torture. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah.
But when you get into it, when you put past the judgment, a little bit, you can find some pretty neat stuff.
And some of those people in this film and involved in that, some of the people interviewed in Tickled seem to be otherwise very, very normal.
Oh, yeah. Like you could see them in the street.
Right.
Well, didn't the TJ guy, he said that when he went to the session, he said that it was normal people.
Yeah.
Bodybuilders were there.
Yeah.
Actors that acted in commercials that he had seen.
Yeah.
Were in that session.
Yep.
And even he said it was just, you would see these people downtown.
Yeah.
All the time. Grocery store, whatever. I mean, that's what's scary about it too.
Right.
That you think you have an image of the type of person that these people are. And then they could be just your neighbor. Yeah. At the end of the day. And that's the scary part.
Your neighbor could be Tickled Terry.
I'm leaving. Wrap this up.
All right. That is our episode that's it for today. That's it for this episode. It was, we had the delightful Rapman on to talk about his giant Netflix hit, Supacell. And Amanda and I talked all about Tickled and the Tickle King. Tickled is available exclusively on Netflix, and the Tickle King is available, the short follow-up is available on YouTube. And I believe HBO Max. Don't quote me on that. In any event, thank you for hanging out with us. Let me know what you think about Tickled. All of the show notes, all of the links are in the show notes to hit me up. And I'll see you next week. All right? I love you. We are.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
It's Tickled Tuesday, and this is Tickled Terry.